is the latest craze in American culture, atheism. A book titled The God Delusion is on the bestseller list right now, and celebrities like George Clooney and Angelina Jolie are declaring their lack of belief in God.
Fox News contributor Father Jonathan Morris gives us the lowdown on this new trend. And good afternoon, Father Jonathan.
Of course, when you want to find out about atheists or atheism, the first person you want to ask is like a priest. And isn't it also funny that they give examples of these celebrities that are atheists? Isn't it funny how God punished them with fame and money and good looks?
Good afternoon. I must clarify, I am not the Catholic priest that was arrested with Jesse Jackson. I am a free man right now, at least for the time.
And you're in Rome.
That's a huge relief to us.
I am in Rome. I am in Rome. Yes, the whole issue here of this fad of these books about atheism, I think we have to make a distinction here. I don't think there's a fad in atheism in the general public. What we see is a fad in publishing companies putting out books by very outspoken atheists who are going beyond their scientific field and saying there is not a God.
Who would have guessed a religious nut job that doesn't understand that atheists simply don't believe in God? They do not say there is zero possibility of there being a God. Obviously, because no one can fucking know that, dumbass. See, you claim to know that there is a God, and you have nothing to back up your claims but faith.
And people like me, quite honestly, are buying those books to see what is it that makes these people's minds tick. So I don't think there's a huge fad for atheism.
Well, you know, are you saying that you're buying those books for the sake of understanding their arguments so that you can challenge them on the point, is there a God or is there not a God?
Yes, that is exactly what he's saying. And unfortunately, these fucktards claim to, it's Christians that buy these atheist books so we can understand their arguments. And yet somehow they don't understand the arguments at fucking all. You can tell by listening to this fucktard in this video.
Well, I'm not interested in confronting them so much as I'm interested, I have a lot of atheist friends, and they really suffer their atheism, I would say. In other words, they suffer the fact that they don't believe because they know that the world makes a whole lot more sense if God does exist.
And there you have it, the perfect example of them not understanding atheism at all. This motherfucker claims to have a bunch of atheist friends and that they suffer their atheism, that they just can't explain anything and nothing seems to make sense without God. And they just want to believe in your God. You see, things like little kids with cancer, that makes so much more sense if you believe in God, you know?
But these, on the other hand, people like Richard Dawkins, are not these people who are suffering their atheism. They're pushing their ideas on the general public and saying we who do believe are silly, we have no common sense, and they are the only elite who know what they're talking about.
So basically you're complaining about atheists who push their beliefs the same way that religious people push their beliefs constantly, whether it be in church or let's say in politics where religious belief is just crazy rampant, with things like Rick Perry and his prayer day and Michelle Bachmann and how God told her who to marry. Apparently marrying a gay guy was God's plan, and then putting her in the public eye so that everyone knows she's a crazy cunt was all in God's plan. However, he is correct in thinking that atheists think your ideas and your beliefs are silly and you don't have any fucking common sense. You know why? All you have to do is read the fucking Bible. You tell me the story of Noah's Ark makes a bunch of sense to you. It makes all the sense in the world, right? I mean, forget the ark and the animals. Let's just look at the basic ideology here, and that is that God killed the entire planet. All the people, all the kids, all the animals, except for 2 of each kind and Noah's family. Awesome job, God. You sure are fucking wicked, and we want to worship this God. And then we don't understand why atheists don't think we have any common sense and we're fucktarded. I just don't get it. Well, I read them atheist books to try and understand them atheist arguments, but I'm just too fucking stupid to get it.
When I look out at creation, I see this is not blind faith. I mean, how do we explain the intricacy, for example, of a human eye? How do we explain the incredible geological reality out there?
Apparently, the guy who says that atheist books are bought by Christians so they can understand their arguments didn't even read the fucking book, because the fucking things like the human eye are well explained. I mean, how do you explain the intricacy of the eagle's eye? Why would God give eagles better eyesight than humans if he loves humans so fucking much? These little things we have to ponder, but we don't.
Sure.
The way I look at it is there's more probability for a divine architect than anything else.
Yeah, and especially the birth of a child and that whole miracle of pregnancy, that'll change a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, I guess that'll change a lot of people's minds if they're fucking stupid. And most atheists don't come to atheism because of their fucking stupidity. There's an entire chapter in The God Delusion devoted to why there's most likely not a God. And this motherfucker obviously skipped it. Didn't address. I don't know what is the point of having him on to talk about this at all. Who the fuck knows? It's Fox News.
Father, when you look at that 90% of Americans believe in God, which I found very encouraging, why is it that there is this sort of posturing in the media of atheists as the intellectuals?
Possibly because we don't believe the same dumb shit that you believe. I don't know. Maybe because deep down, all religious people, or most religious people, still understand that their beliefs are irrational, and that their faith is, their whole point of their faith is meant to be a belief in the irrational, and that's what it's supposed to be. That's what your faith is based on. Otherwise, there's no, you don't have to believe in a virgin birth. It's not, a regular birth is not hard to believe in. If Jesus died and never came back to life 3 days later, then it would be a more believable story. It's this irrational shit that I think deep down you understand all religious people have to have, and atheists, therefore, if they don't believe in that, are more rational than you by proxy.
Great question. You know what? If there was a fad towards these atheistic books, there's a pattern of religious belief, and it goes back thousands of years. And that pattern is continuing with, as you say, 90% of Americans. Now, how would you get 90% of Americans to agree on any single issue whatsoever?
Let's ignore the fact that they don't all agree. They all think there's a God, and then they all disagree about what that God wants and what religion you have to follow to appease that God and all that bullshit. Let's just ignore that and think for a second. 90% of the population, I'm sure, agrees that murder is wrong and that stealing is wrong. Okay, we agree on these things already without your fucking Bible. And those people out there that are like, if you don't believe in God, then what keeps you from like raping and killing and stealing and doing drugs all day long? I have fucking morals, real morals, not stage 2 morals where I'm just afraid of eternal punishment. I have morals where I know I'm not going to be rewarded or punished for my good behavior, but I still fucking act like a decent human being. Unlike most of you fucktards and Republicans who could give a fuck less about helping out humanity. All you care about is money. You're just a bunch of greedy motherfuckers. That's all. You'll run this country into the ground if it'll make you a buck. It's sick.
The fact that we agree or that we believe that God does exist says something. And I think those who are, atheism has always existed, but I think we have to say atheists, and if they're talking about science, need to talk about it from a scientific point of view and not go beyond that and say, because I can't prove God, as if I should be able to see him in a microscope or in a telescope, then he doesn't exist. That's going beyond science. That's bad science, and we need to hold them to their specific field.
Wait. Let me get that straight. If science says we cannot observe, we have not observed any miracles or any signs, real signs that there's a God, especially a Christian God, mind you, then it's bad science for science to tell the truth that they see no evidence for God. And you're basically telling scientists to stay within their field. And there's no scientific field for disproving God, because technically you can't. You can never disprove God. You could search every corner of the universe and they would say he's outside the universe. You could search for all time, but he's outside of time. You see, there's always an excuse. You're never going to find God. That's why it's called faith. You got to just have faith. The saddest part about religion and religious fucktards is that they will never know they're wrong. Because when they finally die and their brain stops functioning, they won't know they're fucking dead. They won't know they never went to heaven. They never, got to watch atheists burn down in hell. They won't know any of that. They'll never know they were wrong. It kind of fucking sucks. That's why it's more important for people to realize they're wrong within their fucking one lifetime.
Father Jonathan Morris, I want to ask you one other question that departs from the discussion of atheism, and that is that the Vatican has put out a new set of 10 Commandments. This time, it's geared towards drivers. What do you think about the driving 10 Commandments?
Oh, the Vatican is such a fucking joke. Just like the rest of religion. Oh, God, I enjoy my irrational belief in a deity. Oh, it sure is fun. Let's talk about the driving 10 Commandments. Thou shalt have a Jesus is my co-pilot sticker on his car that's all beat to hell and wrecked. Commandment number 2, thou shalt have a Jesus fish on the back of your car to let everyone behind you know you're a complete fucking idiot.
Right. Well, it's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, but, because most documents coming out of the Vatican are much more staid, much more formal. And I think the Vatican, this department of the Vatican, which was not the Pope, it was a department, was trying to step out and say, you know what, 1.2 million people die on the roads every year, and 50 million are injured.
Okay, so all the people that died should be going to heaven, right? So what's the problem with that? Who cares? Earth is just a test. This life is just a test for humans, to see if they're ready to go to heaven with God and Jesus. Jesus. Okay, so what's so wrong with death? And all those people that got injured, obviously they weren't praying hard enough. Otherwise, God would have taken his hand and guided their vehicle to a safe path. If you die, people are sad because they don't think you go to heaven. And then if you get injured, thanks a bunch, God, for, that guardian angel and looking over my shoulder. He's like, I only saw one set of footprints. And God was like, that's because I was carrying you. Not really. It's because you were walking by yourself because I don't exist.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, sir.